So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And look, I wanted to jump on here. I know there's been a bit of a debacle about ticket pricing and so on. Specifically, I suppose, with regards to the Champions League games. And I'm very quickly going to address that before we pop on with this, because I do want to do these scouting series, and I did pause them because obviously they could be a bone of contention for a lot of people, and I absolutely understand that. And what I'm going to very, very, very shortly and very, very hopefully concisely say here is that if you were upset about the pricing for tickets for the Champions League, well, then that's absolutely fine. If you're not upset with the prices for the Champions League, well, then that's absolutely fine as well. People will come at this from their own lived experiences. Not everybody is coming at this from the point of view of a selfish point of view. I don't think. I could be wrong in this. Me personally, the reason we haven't done a podcast on it is because I don't. I would feel hypocritical telling anybody else how to think or what way to think, considering that I don't go to 30 plus games every year for Aston Villa, or considering that I don't bring family members with me that might have tug on my heartstrings not to be able to bring them. When I talk about like lived experiences, I talk about those people who maybe can't afford to go to games, can't afford to see every game, and then when they get an opportunity to see a game, they grab the chance at it. That's that. There are people like that, and those people are well entitled to their say. I think with season ticket holders or people that might be taking their dad, might be an elderly person that they take to the game the whole time, and maybe this prices them out of going to one of the biggest games that they could possibly ever attend. For Aston Villa, with that loved person, that loved one, and maybe they might have that chance to go there in the future. Who knows? So my view on this is very much from the point of view of that I don't want to follow up with anybody over this. I don't want anybody to follow up with me over this. I don't want anybody else to follow up with anybody else over this. I think that this is something that should be brought to the club if people feel it should be brought to the club. But I don't think it's a reason for fans to be divided with regards to it. I don't think that and certain people will. But as I say, the overarching feeling here with regards to the tickets is I certainly, if you've got an issue with the ticket prices, please do what you feel is relevant from a protest point of view. If you don't have an issue with the ticket prices, don't protest. And then we would see what happens with regards to this. I know that's very much fence sitting, and I know people will not like it, and I'm sure there's going to be comments with regards to this as well. But like, as I say, we've always said in this podcast, I've always said, Paddy would have a different view being a season ticket holder. I've always said I feel hypocritical sitting here pontificating potentially over something that I don't have a lived experience for, which is actually being a season ticket holder with the club at this moment in time, and having spent all that money to be a season ticket holder. Like for transparency, every time I go to an Aston Villa game, it costs me the bones of 400, 500 euros. But that's not the point. That is not the point. That is my choice to do this. And I wouldn't expect anybody else to want to do it. So from that point of view, I wanted to just address that. We have been quiet on it. And the reason we've been quiet on it is, as I say, I would very much feel very hypocritical to both sides, weighing into the argument. And some people will like that and some people won't. But I won't really be talking about it. It won't be a feature of this going forward because of that feeling of hypocrisy that I would have when I do this. And as I said, you will agree, some will agree, and some won't. But anyway, drawing a line under that, I wanted to talk about the next, I suppose, the biggest opponent that we would have, or the next home opponent, should I say, that we will have, which is Bayern Munich. Obviously, a massively successful team, a team that has a huge pedigree within the competition, a team that every single year will start out the season thinking that, yeah, we're going to go and win the Champions League. A team that's absolutely dominated German football. Obviously last year they didn't win it, but they dominated it up until in recent years. And definitely a team that, historically a lot of players would have been in awe of, no matter where you were within Europe, because of the grandeur that they hold. And I think that they're in a bit of a strange place at the moment. Yes, we know Harry Kane is there and so on. They've got such a brilliant array of players. But we're going to talk about it in a moment. We'll speak. I'll speak small bit about the manager, because it's funny. I'd love to have Paddy on doing this with me, because we kind of have different views on him. And let's talk about it in a moment. But let's bring up some of these. Oops, what's going on here? Yeah, that's much better fitting into the screen here. I'll turn that off too. Let's bring up some slides that I have here just to take people down through Bayern Munich. Obviously, look, they're a historic club. We don't need to go down through too much in it. They're 100 years in existence. Feels like they should be probably 400 years in existence. They just seem to be the most one of the most historic clubs in Germany, but they've done a lot within that 100 years. Their stadium is the Allianz Arena. The head coach, as we say, is Vincent Kompany, familiar to an awful lot of Aston Villa fans, an awful lot of Premier League fans, obviously, for his exploits at Manchester City and his managerial tenure at Burnley as well. 2023-2024, they finished third in the Bundesliga, which is almost push the panic button situation for any Bayern manager. To finish third, finish second, sometimes they can get away with it, but to finish third, absolutely not. But saying that, they have a guy up front that scored 44 goals in all competitions, and that guy is Harold Kane, who needs no introduction, I think. But you guys all knew that anyway, as I say, with regards to Bayern. A lot of you guys are going to know the majority of this information here anyway. But Vincent Kompany, as I mentioned, is their manager. Like, what can you say about him as a player? As I've mentioned here, he's won everything. Well, actually, I don't think he's won everything, but he's done everything within the game, from the point of view of, you know, he's a massive aura in the team. He captained Manchester City. He was one of the first names that came in that really kind of changed that revolution of Manchester City under the with the money that came in from the Middle East, and he's going to go down as a Manchester City legend. When we look into managerial exploits and so on, I think a lot of eyes are on Vincent Kompany. But Bayern Munich have swung for the fences here in some ways. He had a really, really good career at Anderlecht. He was good with Burnley in the Championship, but I think we saw last year that when he stepped up in competition, the players weren't able to move with him. That might be a bit harsh, but I think it's probably fair to say. Overall in his career, he's a win percentage of 44.1%. You know, but I think a lot of the conversation around Bayern Munich this year will be Vincent Kompany. Was Burnley in the Premier League the standard that he coaches at? Or was Burnley in the championship and a decent job he did with a pretty hamstrung at the time Anderlecht team. Now Anderlecht have actually gone on, and they're some may say that he was the reason for their recovery in the Belgian league. But what will happen with him? He will definitely be able to deal with the big names in the dressing room. So this is funny, because a lot of times you'll see that it will be leveled at managers to go into the game. Oh, will he be able to go to Bayern Munich and control some of the big names that are in there? Of course he will. He had some of the biggest names in the game playing for Manchester City, and he managed them. So I don't have any fear of that. I probably think as well, I come down on the side of it, that, you know, his style, his training, his coaching style, and his passing, you know, he's very ball dominant. He's a disciple of Pep Guardiola, really, when you think about it. He's going to have the players to do that, and the players are going to, like, I think his style is going to be very dependent on what players he has, because I don't know if he's adaptable to change styles. But that's the great thing about him moving to Bayern Munich, is he's not going to need to change a whole pile. He's going to have opportunities where he's going to be able to ease himself into this managerial position that he's in. There will be games against teams that he will expect to beat, you know, even not playing well. That's the dominance of Bayern Munich. But when he comes up against Aston Villa in Villa Park, I wonder, will we be able to stifle and snuff out that possession-based opportunity with the crowd behind him, with the crowd behind us, should I say, with a game plan that Unai Emery will have been pointing out for 3 weeks. I think we're going to see what he's made of. Now, look, he does have aces up his sleeve, and let's move on here, because, you know, what he plays a lot of the time is he plays a 4-2-3-1, but he also reverts back to a 4-1-4-1 formation as well, which is incredibly defensive, you would think, for a Bayern Munich manager. But while having players like the likes of João Palhinha after joining the club, you're going to have. We'll move on and we'll talk about those players and we'll discuss them here because they brought in some players over the course of this offseason. Obviously, Michael Olise is in there, brought him in, big ticket signing for 53 million euros. João Palhinha comes in there 51 million. Ito comes in as a centre half. Brian Zaragoza, who's now gone out on loan, if I'm not mistaken, came in as well. And then Eric Dyer obviously signs for a free transfer. Eric Dyer, who I will challenge any Spurs fan not to tell me that Eric Dyer is every bit as much a Spurs legend as some of the centre backs that have gone before him. But that's a podcast for another day. Moving on to transfers out. Obviously, Matthias de Ligt went to Manchester United, 45 million, and so did Mazraoui, should I say, for 15 million. Malik Tillman then made a permanent transfer to PSV Eindhoven, and then there was also some loan transfers. As I said there, Brian Zaragoza has gone out to Osasuna as well. So they've traded well in the off season. Obviously, brought in more players, brought in some big players. Olise and Palhinha are going to be two huge players from there. They've wanted Palhinha for God knows how long, and Olise, as we know, he absolutely ripped up the Premier League last year. And gives them an embarrassment of riches in that attacking four area, that those four attackers, should I say, in the attacking side of the field. So let's take a little look at how we would expect them to line up. Once again, the word embarrassment of riches just doesn't even cut it sometimes with regards to Bayern Munich's players. They're going to set up with a back four regardless. Kimmich could be in there. Maybe Kimmich plays in that deep holding role, and Boy plays in there as well. Sasha Boy, who signed from Galatasaray in January of this year, I think it was. Upamecano is going to be in there. Paddy's favourite defender. If anybody has listened to us before, Paddy does not rate him, but obviously, look, he plays for France. He's played with Leipzig. He's come in there and he's big presence. Also they're gonna have Minjay in there as well, and Guerrero, Alphonso Davies, Ito, Eric Dyer, also options inside there. Like you could mix and match that whatever way you want, and you're still going to come out of it with an absolutely fantastic back four. And that brings us on then to the pivot setup here. But if they play two in midfield, it's going to be either Kimmich or Leimer. You're going to have Pavlovic, Palhinha, Goretzka. The reason I put in Pavlovic inside here is that in the most recent games that Bayern Munich have played, he's been the guy that's been in there. But look, obviously, you've got guys like Palhinha. They've spent money on him. When he's up to speed, he's going to be in there. Goretzka is somebody who Vincent Kompany has kind of shunned to the side, but has recently brought him back into the team. He came off the bench recently as well for them. He was told he wouldn't have many minutes this season, but maybe Vincent Kompany has brought him back in out of the cold. But all of those players, those five players there, are absolutely incredibly it's an incredible rotation of players to have. So no matter who goes out in the field against Aston Villa, it's going to be really difficult. Like Conrad Leimer in their last season, just like a fantastic player, and Palhinha, Goretzka. Look, I don't have to big up these guys. I don't have to big up these guys because they do it themselves. You know, their standard of play is just absolutely fantastic, and it's going to be a tough opportunity for Villa to try and break those guys down. And then when we move on to the front four, here we go in just like absolute dream territory, really. And I know I'm waxing lyrically because they're all good players. We can beat good players. We can beat good teams. We know we've done that. But to beat Bayern Munich, you're going to have to keep Olise, Musiala, Gnabry, Koeman, Muller, Sané, Matthias Telles, and Harry Kane. Like, it's just name after name after name after name up there as well, which is mind-blowing. Well, it's not mind-blowing because when you've got the success that Bayern Munich have and the fact that you're going to win the league every year until the year that Kane joins, you'd expect to have that talent, but Villa are going to need to have a game plan to be able to work on this talent, and you know, that's just an incredible array of players that they have there. You say, oh yeah, Kingsley Coman regularly injured. Yeah, that might have been an issue previously, but now they have Michael Olise come in there. And we know what he did to the Premier League last year. It was just absolutely excellent under Oliver Glasner specifically, I suppose, in the latter half of the season. You're going to have Musiala and Muller in there. Maybe, well, we'll have Musiala start, but you'll have Thomas Muller coming off the bench. You'll have Gnabry, maybe Leroy Sané in there as well, should I say, on that left-hand side, and then Harry Kane up front. So it's a daunting fixture. It really is. But I will go back and I will say again, guys, that can we win this? We absolutely can win this. 100%. Aston Villa can win this game. Do not underestimate the power of Unai Emery, number one. Specifically in one-off games, do not underestimate the power that the fans will have on their return to the Champions League home game. It is going to be like a powder keg. It's going to be fantastic. I wish I was there. I wish I was able to travel over. I wish I was able to take the time off work, to take the time away from my family and go and watch it. And unfortunately, I can't, because I think this is going to be one of those tingly moments. There are going to be people inside there in that stadium. They may even be overcome with joy, to the point of view of maybe having a little sob, a little cry. There's going to be, as I said before, there's going to be fathers and sons. There's going to be brothers. There's going to be husbands and wives that are going to just maybe, as that Champions League music is playing, maybe just put their arm around each other and just kind of go, and in their minds, or maybe vocally say to each other, "I'm absolutely delighted I'm spending this next 90 minutes here with you because it means so much." That's what the club means. Do not forget that when we talk about ticket prices, when we talk about going to games and stuff like that, that is what the club means to an awful lot of people. And that's what people's lived experiences are as well. And we can go out and we can beat Bayern Munich. And we will talk about this more when the Bayern Munich match does come around. But hope you enjoyed this. Hope you enjoyed these little pieces. Obviously, this one's a bit more obvious. We will be back with Bologna and Monaco. And then all the other teams that we play in the Champions League, just doing these little 15-minute, 16-minute Champions League files, just to get to know who we play with in the group. But I hope you enjoyed it. And if you do, give it a thumbs up. Until next time, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy. And all that's left to say is up the Villa.